Hey everybody, my name is Jarrod King and welcome to The Read. Tonight I have a guest that I have been waiting for a long time to actually interview, so let's jump in. The author of Absolutely Me is no stranger to the limelight. He has two blogs, a podcast, a yearly live event, and in all of those platforms he bears his soul. He's put so much out there about his life that many may ask, what else is there to know? Well, tonight I dig deeper with the man whose motto is "People are my passion." He's back with a sequel to his first book, and there's so much more beneath the surface. So here's Jayce Baron. Hey, Jayce, how's it going?
What's up? How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. It's very nice to have you here, and I'm eager to jump into these questions because I know that you like to share. So I know that we're gonna have a great conversation.
Well, thank you for
So
having me. Excuse the
okay,
top top. I'm hot as hell. I'm in the valley right now. We all know the valley's hot.
I kind of wish I was there right now, actually, because it's like, I like the warm, I like the hot weather, and it's like 60 over here in Philly.
But this is
Um,
like grandma's oven hot. Like this is Hansel and Gretel. Like I'm sweating. It's not cute.
all right, well, maybe not quite that extreme. Maybe I wouldn't like that, but let me ask you about this. So, in an interview with Parlay Mag, you're described as having grown up in a well-to-do family. As such, do you ever feel like you don't have the background or that you're not enough to speak to your audience?
No, I've actually had a couple conversations about this. So just kind of giving some context to your question. So I was raised in Riverside, California, which is about an hour east of Los Angeles. I went to private school. My mother's a physician. She's an OBGYN. So I didn't necessarily get the typical Black upbringing, whatever the hell that even means. And so when I was watching like movies like fighting and stuff like that growing up, I thought it was comedic, but I couldn't necessarily directly relate because that wasn't my testimony. But with that said, like, what does I guess Black mean? What is a Black upbringing? Like, is a watermelon fried chicken, or is it just like living in a society where you identify with who you are? There's different layers, and there's different layers to culture. My mother's from Panama, and so it's plantains, and that's what we did. Like it's very South American or Central American. So I don't feel like I don't have a connection to my audience. I kind of say what's on my mind. I kind of do my thing, and whoever is receptive towards that, then take it.
Okay, very cool. Something that I thought may have connected to that, and maybe that's kind of where I was thinking, is that you, in a blog post you titled "Dear Jayce, Love Baron," there was a line that you wrote. You said, "Sure, you're the Black gay Taylor Swift, and a lot of chapters have very publicly gone down in flames." And I was just wondering, I mean, because this was an article, kind of a letter that you wrote to yourself. So, what did you mean by like a Black gay Taylor Swift? And I wanted to know whether that kind of tied into maybe that well-to-do
No,
perspective.
not at all. That was more commenting on. So we all love social media. We all have our Instagram posts. We all love when Bae brings us flowers to work, or when you get a new gift, or when you're at the Eiffel Tower and we take pictures and stuff like that. I have been in situationships, relationships, whatever the case may be, with people who may have a lot of followers, or who may get a lot of attention. And so a lot of times, well, not say a lot of times, but some of those situations, when it's over, people know it's over because you stop posting. Where's hashtag Jayce and blah 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 blah. And so that was kind of what I was referring to. Because Taylor Swift, by the way, do not like her. I'm not a fan at all. Like, she got one good song and she's cool, but she's very she got issues. But that was kind of what I was referring to, more of like the public, because she's dated Calvin Harris. She's dated a lot of public figures, and when it's over, it's very in your face on Twitter, hashtag what's going on. So that was kind of what I was referring to. So I've definitely, with relationships moving forward, have kind of been diligent and more, I'm not gonna say aggressive, but intentional with separating my dating life with my Instagram feed.
Gotcha. All
Which
right.
I think everybody should do.
What'd you say?
I
You
say
said what everybody needs to do.
Lord, these girls out there are messy.
Yeah, I know. They put a lot out there. Yeah, but I can't relate. I have to see. I have to get into a relationship first to see what I would do. But yeah, I probably wouldn't be that.
It's so early. It's springtime. You find a babe for the summer.
Who knows? Maybe something's happening in the background. Who knows?
Maybe somebody in Philadelphia, or not Philadelphia, in Puerto Rico.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. So now I want to get into your personal background a little bit. You grew up in Southern California. Your parents were divorced, and your father was agnostic. Your mother was first lady in a Baptist church. And at 24, you and your second boyfriend come back to California from New York. And in that same interview that I'd mentioned previously, you say you were kind of forced to tell your parents that that you were gay, or that you were forced to kind of come out to your parents. So could you clarify what you mean by being forced to come out?
I was more of like forcing myself to, because I had been in situations where, like when you're at a barbecue, oh, this is my friend, wink, wink. And then like this time, like, oh, wait, that's actually like your boyfriend, but everybody knows, but you can't say it. It was more like I was forcing myself to be more vocal and deliberate with who I was dating, and also this respect to them as well. Like if they're putting their time and energy into forming a relationship with you, you kind of want to be acknowledged. If I was on the end, like who's your mom? I mean, not everybody does, but he was very family oriented, and I was in New York away from my immediate family. So when I came back to Los Angeles, I kind of was just like, all right, well, I'm bringing somebody with me, and I'm not going to have them around as the friend at the barbecue or the friend at Thanksgiving. I was going to be like, this is my boyfriend, to acknowledge him for who he was. So I was kind of forcing myself to acknowledge my existence and my love for that person.
Okay, I got you. So you go on to describe how your mother worked to understand you after that. And as well as your relationship with your boyfriend. So did you know on some deep level that your mother would eventually come around to accepting the fact that you were gay? Or
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you have to understand, like my mother, she's, the first lady of a Baptist church. Like she wasn't like, the cool mom, like Mean Girls, like she is now. She's all about it. She's like, my son is at the White House and da da da. Like she's super into it now. But it was very understandable, like when I did, tell her, that she was just a little taken aback. Like, okay, well, my mother loves me dearly. Like I talk to her all the time, and that never changed. But it took her a while to kind of adjust to the son that she had in 1988 marrying a man versus the girl that because when you have kids, you kind of have this vision of what you want them to be. You want them to play football. You want them to do, and that's problematic in itself. I think the society is kind of getting away from that notion of pinks and blues and Barbies versus toy trucks when it comes to gender norms and stuff like that and masculinity. But it took her a while to kind of adjust to it. Shorter than usual. I was very lucky because I know I've had friends and I've heard stories about people being kicked out the house and, disowned. That never happened to me at all, by the grace of God. But it was definitely kind of a hard conversation. And I honestly think that that short period of time helped us grow as mother, son, two adults, and just like people in general, because we understood each other so much more after that conversation.
Okay, cool. So you started Kiss and Tell in 2014, and it was supposed to be a one-time Q&A panel about relationships in the LGBT community. From there, you grew it into a yearly live event and a podcast. After having so many conversations with so many different people, what have you learned about love through this venture?
Ooh, love. So I think love is a very layered conversation. I think there's romantic love. I think there's love for your friends. I think there's love for yourself. When it comes to romantic love, I definitely think that us as I think we're kind of in a weird niche. I'm 29 years old, and so I kind of come at the end of the social norm, kind of like structured crew, and then I'm at the beginning of the we don't give a fuck what society says, da 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 da. And so I think that we uh, kind of have a lot of unpacking to do with when it comes to ourselves and how to love someone who is the same gender. I think that we're farther along than someone who may be, 50, 60, but I think a lot of it starts with yourself. And when it comes, and just being honest, I was watching Princess Diana's documentary, but 2 weeks ago for the anniversary of her passing. And, I was just like, she should have just, or her husband, Prince Charles, should just marry the person instead of marrying Diana. I think a lot of times we kind of try to go by these norms that society has set up for us. And that's not even like a gay or straight thing. That's just like, all right, you're supposed to marry this way, you're supposed to do this. And then it's just like, right, are you really happy or are you just comfortable? And so I think that, we really need to just do what makes us happy versus trying to follow this rule book that whoever made for us needs to follow. And just be happy. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. It doesn't have to be on social media and like, this is they hashtag like in love, like that's cute and all, but I think that we've just become very public with our personal life. So yeah, that's it. And then yeah, self-love is huge. I'm all about it because you can't love someone else if you don't love yourself.
Let me ask you about that, like putting our personal lives out there. Like, where is the line between, sharing too much and, not sharing enough online? I mean, especially for guys like us who are trying to do different things and put out a certain message. Do you know, I mean, like what's your idea about how much to share?
Yeah, I think it's pick and choose to what you're comfortable with. Obviously, I talk a lot about my personal life. I know a lot of people are able to help people online. I think it has to do with intention. For example, with like sexual assault, when I was sexually assaulted in 2015, I was very public, honest, and open about that. And that wasn't anything to do with, I waited until I was comfortable with the topic and with myself to have that conversation. But because it wasn't a situation where I was held at gunpoint behind like a grocery store, I met this person on an app. And so I knew that a lot of people had been in that type of situation. So I was just like, all right, well, you're not alone. I'm someone who, you wouldn't typically, people don't necessarily view me as like some little, like I'm 6'1". I may be skinny, but I'm tall. And so it wouldn't be something that happens to someone that's like me, but it did. And it happens to a lot of people. And when I came out forward with that, I got a lot of emails and tweets and smoke signals kind of saying the same thing. And so I think that if the intention is good, then that's kind of where you have to kind of draw the line. But also know there's repercussions because, I got a lot of slack for it too, a lot of mean, hateful things. And so when you put it on the World Wide Web, because it is literally the World Wide Web, you need to be prepared for what's going to be said about you or to you or whatever, because people are vicious. Have you been on Twitter?
Look, I could go on about Twitter.
Look, Twitter will drag you and will keep going until you have to turn your phone off. I've had to turn my phone off a couple times because it just tweets angry people just at me. So yeah, it depends. If you put it on the web, you just need to know what you're doing. And that's about it.
Okay, so let me piggyback off of that topic right there. Because I think that's one of the things that makes you so attractive, makes your work so attractive, is your transparency and your ability to just kind of go there with certain things that go on in your life. And because of telling that story, I think that the title of the article was "I'm a Black Man and I Was Raped." And you got a lot of attention. You were even invited to the state capitol to do a press conference to discuss the issue. So would you say that that was kind of a turning point for your career when you told that story?
Yes and no. When I did it, I don't even honestly remember writing that article. Like I had I was invited to do a panel in DC about 2 weeks prior to that, and I had addressed it at a Kiss and Tell show in New York the November before, and it didn't go well at all. Like I said it, and the whole room just like clammed up, and I was like, all right, not the right time. Next topic, dick. So was invited to do a panel about sexual assault in DC, which I did, and it went very well. And so after that, I ended up writing the article. I knew that, I don't know why, like my gut told me that it was going to, go viral and get a lot of attention. So I told my parents the night before that, hey, I wrote an article. My editor is posting it tomorrow online. I just want to let you know so you're not blindsided. And it got a lot of attention. As far as the turning point in my career, I think it just really emphasized the fact that this is such a common thing. And I think that the conversation needs to be kept having. Like we saw DJ Zeke Thomas come out with his story about a month ago for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I think the conversation the time is now to start having it, especially with men when it comes to sexual assault. So as far as the turning point in my career, I think it just kind of opened my eyes to how frequent it happens and how much the conversation is not being had and how much it is needed.
All right. So what would you say to people who, like you at one point, have yet to really process the sexual abuse that they had experienced?
Yeah, I was, Jesus. Yeah, it happened to me, and I could talk about it fluently now, but like when it happened, I literally went home, took a shower, and just like dismissed it. And then it wasn't until I told my friend that it happened about a month after that, where he was like, no, like that's sexual assault, you were raped. And then even after that, I still didn't really process it until someone made a joke about it, and I was just like freaked out. But I mean, definitely my advice is just you're okay. Like this is something that happened to you like one time. It doesn't dictate who you are as a person. It doesn't dictate who you are for the rest of your life. It does not dictate the rest of your life. So seek the help that you need. Personally, like I went to a therapist. I went to a therapist one time, but like even for me, going out to seek help was such a huge a moment for me, because I'm kind of stubborn, and so I don't usually like, I need help. I'm usually like, I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. But like that was, me going out and seeking, like, hey, like I need some emotional help. Like this happened to me. I need to talk to a professional about this. So just get the help that you need. Get the whatever you need, and you're not alone. It happens far more often than we think. And so if you feel comfortable with vocalizing your story and helping and driving the conversation, by all means do so. I get a bunch of emails, info@jaycebaron.com. Feel free to contact me at any time if you need advice or anything. But yeah, you're not alone. You're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Get what you need and just have the conversation.
All right. Okay. So let me ask you, you have 2 blogs, one where you post a lot of more personal stories, and then another one where you focus on HIV awareness. So why did you take up the cause to inform others about HIV?
So I actually got this question today in the meeting. So basically, when I started doing Kiss and Tell, the demographic is geared towards African Americans. And so I kind of come from a background where I kind of had a lot of like followers on Instagram. I was able to put it together. So a lot of larger organizations started to contact me And we all know that the rate in with HIV as far as Black men or men who have sex with men, whatever that term means, is half. And so they started contacting me like, hey, can we kind of implement some of our content into your show? And I started getting put on to do like campaigns and stuff like that. And I realized that I learned a lot. And when I started doing like research when it came to the history of prevention in the US, when it came to, you know, the statistics and research and stuff like that, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty neat. But I think the conversation goes beyond a chart or a graph. You know, it's a human topic. And I think a lot of the missed information comes from people who need information that don't necessarily want to read a graph, or a PSA doesn't speak to them. So I was like, all right, well, how can we repackage this vital information and resubmit it to the world so that someone could understand it? And so that's kind of where I got passionate about it, to be honest. I started learning more. I was like, how come, you know, I don't know this stuff? Why doesn't everybody else know this stuff? And so I kind of wanted to push the conversation, and it's sex. You know, people don't want to talk about sex, and a lot of these organizations don't want to say fucking or, you know, their, you know, condoms or stuff like that. Like, is the conversation to me is pretty simple, but there's a lot of political verbiage that needs to be implemented in these things. And there's sex parties, and there's jacked, and there's meth, and there's raw sex, and there's fisting, and all those other things. And the issue with sexual health intertwines in that as well.
Right. Okay. Now you also have a new line as well, correct? Could you tell us about that?
Yes. So if you guys, after the interview, not now, watch it at the end. But I actually just launched Property of My Damn Self. So that is on jaycebaron.com. So you guys can check that out. But basically, it's a line that I created. If you guys don't know, I had a line called DGFU back when I was in college. Don't get fucked up. And so I really enjoy that prayer line. I love merchandise and stuff like that.
Love that name.
I'm freaking crazy. But basically, I kind of wanted to make something that was more human when it came to kind of addressing, like, not even like prep and pep, but just like your overall being. Like, why do you love yourself, you know? And so I think that it kind of starts there with having that conversation, and then kind of intertwining that into, you know, all right, well, these are your options, stuff like that. So there's hats, there's shirts, you know, I'm doing cell phone cases, I'm doing all types of stuff. So but I'm really excited about it, because honestly, like, no one's going to take care of you the way that you're going to take care of yourself. And so whatever that looks like, because we're all individual people, whatever that looks like, I'm not telling anybody what to do with their life. I'm not at all. But I will say, you're your own property. And, you know, whatever that looks like, taking care of yourself or loving yourself, do it. You're great.
Awesome. I love the message.
Thank you.
Now, after all of that, we can finally move into your book. So let's talk about Absolutely Me. You released the first book in 2016, and you've now returned with a sequel. What is this new book about, or what's the first book about, and where will the sequel take us?
Okay, so Absolutely Me was released last spring, 2016, and basically it is a novel on a character that is based upon me, about this guy named Eli, who starts like he's in his early 20s, maybe late teens, and he's kind of trying to figure out his sexuality through other men. So whether it's dating, having sex, you know, sex parties, like whatever the case may be, he's just really trying to figure out what gay is. And so he's, you know, dealing with the different guys. Each chapter is a different guy that he deals with. And at the end, he realizes that, you know, being gay has nothing to do with a boyfriend or who you're with, or it has all to do with himself. So the book is called Absolutely Me because he figures out that, you know, he's searching for himself and all these different people, which it doesn't have to matter if you're gay, straight, whatever the case may be, black, white, Puerto Rican, Chinese boys, like, we all are trying to like searching and trying to find ourselves. And so he's kind of going on this mission back and forth from LA and New York and trying to figure it out. And he realizes at the end of the book that he is, you know, enough, and he's himself. And some of the problems that he's had with people are rooted in him.
Interesting. Yeah, it sounds very relatable.
Did you read it?
I didn't get the chance to read it yet, but I am very much looking forward to getting into it because it sounds like something that I kind of struggled with at one point. Hopefully that's in the past. So
and if it's in the present, we deal with it.
What'd you say?
And if it's in the present, we deal with it.
Right, exactly.
Never stop learning.
So about the sequel, now where are we going in the sequel?
So the sequel is called Absolutely Us. So basically, it's the same character, but it kind of dives into more of the sub-characters in Absolutely Me. So basically, Elijah, he pretty much has his perfect world. He's in LA, life's going good. He has the guy of his dream, and everything kind of falls apart, which if you're a late 20-something, it always does. Whether that's emotionally or career-wise or whatever the case may be. So he kind of, he ends up having to rely on friends and family to kind of piece together his life. So he ends up going to a small town in Connecticut, being forced to move there just to kind of relax and kind of piece himself together, where his uncle, who is single, his aunt is deceased, and he's with his little cousin who is 6 years old. So he starts getting involved in like this regular traditional American suburban life, which he used to, you know, pop in and go-go boys and dancing or whatever the case may be. And so he's kind of getting acclimated in this life, and he's just like, wow, like maybe it's time to grow up. Maybe, you know, this gay culture is not about like the never ever land of like the Abbey and, you know, all the other drugs and sex and alcohol. So he's kind of like puts his own flair to this little town. It's really funny. He meets like a trans woman that kind of helps him with that. He deals with sexual assault in there, so that's a topic as well as masculinity. And it's a cute book. It's really cute. I'm actually really proud of it because it's kind of where I'm at personally in my life. You know, I have done all the parties. I have done enough St. Patrick's Days, Cinco de Mayos, Drinko de Mayos, you know, thrown up on corners, like all the mess that you could imagine in your 20s. I'm 29 now, and I'm kind of like, all right, well, let me kind of step back and kind of be a little bit of an adult, but still do it at my own pace, or on my own flavor, I should say.
All right. And the book is now available?
The pre-sale is available now. So that actually went up with the Property of My Damn Self line. So it is all on jaycebaron.com. So the old book, not the old book, but the first book, Absolutely Me, is available in paperback and iBooks on jaycebaron.com. And the pre-order for free shipping for pre-order is available on jaycebaron.com as well.
There you go. Make sure you get that in there. Let them know. Let them know.
An incentive. We all have an incentive, and we all have free. All
right. All right. So let me ask you about. I know that you do a lot of introspective, personal, almost non-fictional writing. So I'm just curious, why did this book come out as a fictional work as opposed to something that was more of a memoir?
Because one, I wanted it to be more than one book, and I wasn't sure how. I think I'm more comfortable with talking about myself, if you will, than like having an actual book and story about it, especially when it comes to like incorporating other people. The first book touches a lot of different topics, and there's people that some of the characters are based on. I didn't want it to be a thing where I'm exploiting someone's business or I'm exploiting, you know, their personal life, because, you know, if that happened to you, if it happened to me, you're also involved in it. And so I wanted it to be where I wasn't putting someone else's business out there. So change the names, change the characters, stuff like that. So a reader, I was more intentional with bringing a story versus, or the message of the story versus like exploiting. So that's kind of why I made it a novel. And also, I could do whatever I want with the novel. If I want there to be a unicorn to pop up on the front yard, guess what? A unicorn could pop up on the front yard. I can do whatever I want. So that's kind of another reason why I wanted to make it a novel, because literally the story could go anywhere. And I wanted to have that flexibility and that creative drive to do whatever I wanted.
Okay, so now I have to read it, because now I want to see if a unicorn actually pops up in the middle of the book.
You know what? I'm going to be book 3. Book 3 doesn't need to be a unicorn. It's going to be absolutely.
Okay. Good. I'm going to look out for that. And actually, that was my next question, was whether you would plan to take this any further than 2 books. So I'm glad we got that in. How about further than, like, how long? What's the scope of this series?
You know, I don't like to put a glass ceiling on things like that. I mean, I definitely have the 3rd book mapped out in my mind. But I kind of goes from there. I write, I'm a writer that bases what the content I put out on life experiences, whether it's personal or indirect. And so I have to kind of see where life takes me. And if I feel like there's something that I want to write about, book 4. If I want to write a whole new, book or a self-help book or something like that, I would do that too. I don't really put a limit or a structure onto that. But as far as the Absolutely series go, there's definitely going to be 3 books. So 2 is coming out like now. And if there's a 4, there's a 4. There's a 16. And Fast and the Furious has what, 15? I don't think that Vin Diesel thought he's going to be on all these different shows. Why not?
There you go. So now I also read that there is a documentary in the works. So what's that about, and
your research?
How is it coming along? Hey, I have to do my job.
I think you're the most research interview I've ever done. Yes, there is a documentary in the works. Realistically, it probably won't come out until next year, probably next spring for like film festival season. But everything, the treatment's done, film crew is set, all that jazz. So it's a matter of like getting the actual time and the funding to get it done.
Okay, sounds exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And what else is going? What else is coming in the future for you?
There's a lot of fun stuff happening. The book's coming out. We're doing a PSA based on the shirts that are coming out, Property of My Damn Self. So that's coming out as well. That'd be a fun little PSA to do. Pretty much that's the gist. Like 2017, I'm gonna start. Well, I'm not gonna. Whatever. I'm gonna start kind of dabbling into travel. Because a lot of people ask me, I travel a lot for work as well as vacation. So I just got back from Australia. I go to Puerto Rico in 2 days. And so a lot of people kind of ask me like tips and ideas about, where to go, And so I want to start kind of implementing kind of like a travel blog based on, work trips and stuff like that. And just kind of telling my story. And then also kind of giving some of the incentives that I am supplied with to other people. So take note, it's coming. But it's all work in progress.
Sounds good. Sounds awesome. So where can people find out more about you and your work?
Yes. So my website is jaycebaron.com, JayceBaron.com. Kiss and Tell's website is katnetworks.com. You guys have to listen to the podcast. We have... It's literally me, Shar, and Kendall, and we're 3 friends. And we actually me and Shar started the podcast, almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years in August. And we've grown. We've signed up with Reverie.com, so that podcast is available on iTunes. It's available on SoundCloud and also on Reverie. If you do the Reverie app, REVRY, download it on any platform. If you use the code KAT2017 to get 10% off the first 3 months. But listen to Kiss and Tell Radio. It is a hoot. I'm the sane one. I'll probably get kicked in the ass for saying that later, but they're crazy. I'm sane. But it's a fun show. And yeah, social media, Snapchat, Instagram, it's all Jayce Baron, JayceBaron.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me for the interview. I really appreciated it. And we had a great conversation and shared some great laughs. So thanks a lot.
Yes. And I'll see you in Puerto Rico with your book. Buy his book too, guys. Yes. He's the author.
Yes. I will be there. I will see you. And I'm definitely going to post some stuff up on Snapchat and Instagram stories. So everybody who's watching, please look out for that. We'll hang out a little bit and it'll all be up there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So thank you to Jayce, and thank you to the viewers who have tuned in. please, if you like it, give it a thumbs up. Please share it. Let everybody know what's going on. And again, just thank you for watching. I look forward to the next interview that we're having. And, I just wish everybody a good night. So have a good one.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.